All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I have been busy with a lot of other things besides reading, but I thought I record the video for this week, talk about some of the books that I've been slowly reading. One book that I finished reading because it was relatively short. So the book that I finished reading, I should maybe talk about that first. That book is called Before I Was a Critic, I Was a Human Being, written by Amy Fung. Amy Fung, Canadian writer, art critic, Toronto based. And the book is about a lot of things. I was expecting it to be a book of cultural criticism, cultural theory, even. And it is that, but it is much more personal, as the title suggests. It is about being human. It's about her experiences in Canada, going back and forth between Canada and Hong Kong, different other countries, Scotland, the country that is mentioned first. Her experience growing up in Edmonton, Alberta, some experiences in Saskatchewan, the slow development of consciousness, something that we all go through, becoming conscious of cultural issues, racial issues, relationship between races in a country, within a society, the imbalances, injustices, power dynamics, how for the majority, for the group that is relatively privileged, they don't need to be aware of the racial issues. But for the other side, the minority who's receiving an unfair treatment, not only an awareness is forced on them, but it's very pressing. It's associated with a lot of pressing issues. And confronting issues like that, like race relations, is essentially about accepting that we are going to be uncomfortable. I don't know if you watched that debate between Jordan Peterson and a couple of other people. Stephen Fry was in that debate too, a Massey debate. I don't remember the title of it, but there was one moment in that debate where Jordan Peterson says, what should we do? Just tell us what we should do. Should we like pay some money to black people, to indigenous people? He says something along those lines. I'm not exactly quoting him, but that statement, that sentiment is missing the point, because no, if you want to be comfortable, if you want to deal with it, fix it quickly, and then repress it, and then say this is not my problem anymore because I did my part, you're missing the point. We have to continue to coexist together, and these issues are not. An easy fix is not available for them. You're not gonna fix once and for all the issue of the indigenous people and the injustices that they had to go through, the intergenerational trauma they're living with, their misunderstandings that they have received, the historical distortions that they have also that also has put them in a disadvantage. Anyways, Amy Fung, this book is quite good. Again, I emphasize what I like about this book is how it highlights the slow progress of consciousness, the slow progress of our awareness of the nature of these issues, that they are political. The political nature of an issue itself is something that takes a lot of time to grasp, to be conscious of. At first, what we experience is just qualities that show up in our everyday encounters, in our everyday interactions with other people, in how Amy interacted with her mother, with her friends, schoolmates, with her co-workers at a journal that she was working at. The other book that I'm reading is very interesting, strange. In the words of J.M. Coetzee, this is the strangest book you are likely to read this year. By Michael Winkler. The book is called Grimish. Grimish. I have read, by now, I have read about 100 pages, and this is a book about several different perspectives. One perspective is the narrator, and then we have the narrator's uncle, and through these two perspectives, we are also getting a view of Joe Grimm. Joe Grimm is the central character in this story, a boxer who becomes well known for being able to withstand getting beaten up. So he can get a lot of beating without going unconscious, without getting completely destroyed. He can withstand the punishment in the ring. So that becomes his brand in a way. It becomes the attraction, and how that turns into a spectacle. What that says about the audience of a boxing match, and what these two other perspectives and others bring into the story. You can think of this book as with a different title, and that other title would be Pain Artist, with reference to Franz Kafka's The Hunger Artist. That would be fair, and I think that phrase is introduced in the book. I would recommend this book if you are interested in very weird writing, strange, refreshingly strange writing style, stream of consciousness, a little bit of surrealism, writing about fights, combat, but at the same time very human, very empathetic, not just a pure tough guy, which would be totally uninteresting. Okay, Grimish, I will review this book after I finish it. And after that, I'll read The Spring Rain, A Life Lived in Gardens by Mark Hamer. This was sent to me by the publisher, similar to Grimish. So by my request, so I will review those. The third book in that series is, not in that series, but in the series of books that I've received from publishers, is the News. And this is part of a series called the Groundwork series, published by the House of Anansi publishing company, Canadian publishing company. And this volume is written by Peter Stephen. The series of books are meant for educators, teachers. I imagine they are for high school teachers or college instructors. Kind of groundwork, what they should know, the background that they should have in mind as they are engaging with education, as they're practicing education. So how should we think about the news? I'm very interested in the whole series, and I thank the publisher for sending me this copy. The other book that I've been reading, is Beginning Theory. And once again, I think I announced this. I don't remember. I should announce this series properly, but maybe this would be enough, just saying it now. I am making a series of videos based on this book, Beginning Theory. So for me, this is a foundational series, a series of discussions about how we can read books using theoretical frameworks. And because we are going to explore a lot of different theoretical frameworks, what it does as a consequence of these explorations, these engagements, what we get is a kind of freedom in our reading life. We become free because we have more options in our treatment of different texts, in the way we engage with different texts. We become familiar with structuralism, the post-structuralism, deconstruction, psychoanalysis. Each one of these gives us a world of, it adds a layer of richness in whatever else that we are reading. Works of fiction primarily, but also nonfiction. So I have already recorded 2 videos in this series. The 2 are about structuralism and deconstruction, respectively, and the next one coming next week will be about psychoanalysis, basically Freud and Lacan this time. And after completing this series, which is for Patreon, for my Patreon supporters, or one way to view this series is through Patreon. The other way is to join just in YouTube, on the YouTube channel. So joining the YouTube membership is one way, Patreon is another way. After this series, I'll do a similar series on continental philosophy. Yeah, it's getting serious. The other book that I've been reading for weeks, is James Baldwin's third novel, Another Country. That that book is, it's just simply too intense. It's emotionally, it's, I find it devastating. I cannot read more than 10, 20 pages of it at a time. And I started reading it after I reviewed Giovanni's Room. I started reading Another Country, and I got to the middle of it, and then I just decided to start over. And I'm reading it for a second time. I definitely have to talk about that. And during the theory series, beginning theory series, I am going to refer to these books. I in the video on deconstructionism or deconstructive reading, I offer a totally different reading of Giovanni's Room, completely different from what I have in my public video. So if you're interested in that, there are a lot of reasons to join me in on that series. I would encourage you to use the Patreon option if you're interested in that, not the YouTube membership. Okay, that's it for now. I think we're good. Until next week, if everything goes according to plan, next week we will have a review of Michael Winkler's strange book, Grimish. Looking forward to it.